Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Yield to DF Down Canland, where we talk about self-care, building up yourself, building up a business, and all that jazz. We interview experts, people that I enjoy talking to about self-care and learning from them and their strategies, from their lives and things, seeing how we can apply it to our lives. Today, Yield today. Yes, I envision love demonstrated today. And today, we're going to be talking about 3 different stories I would tell the younger version of myself, or pretty much anybody that wants to start a side business but hasn't quite taken that plunge yet, hasn't started learning video game music or coding or whatever that thing is that could lead to a potential side income down the roads, doing something that they enjoy a little bit more than their day-to-day thing. And so, as always, definitely follow the podcast if this content is valuable to you. I appreciate that, and we are just going to jump right into it. The first story has to do with Larry Bird before he played college ball. Before he was so well known, he was just a kid growing up in one of the poorest towns of Indiana and played really good ball in high school, averaging around 20, 30 points a game. Not heavily recruited, but got recruited to play at the next level, and then went to school there a couple days and then realized, you know what? I'm not going to do this. The school's too big. I'm not going to do that. So he goes back home and he decides to be a garbage man. And so he, enjoys doing the garbage man thing. He's like, I can make a difference. I can help make the community better. And so he just kind of enjoys this lifestyle. And I'm sure those times where he's holding up a big trash can and he just chucks it and he's like, and one or money ball or whatever. And he gets that money and he's like, basketball's cool, but I'm glad that I have a life that I enjoy, right? Meanwhile, Bill Hodges, a coach at one of the other Indiana colleges, another kind of a small college, shows up at Larry's house, sees his potential, and is like, hey, Larry, I really want you to go for this. And yeah, I just want you on my team, man. And Larry's like, you know what? I was actually just thinking of one of my friends who's super good at basketball, but then he never really got recognized because he didn't go to college. And Bill's like, Larry, that's going to be you. People are going to be saying, dude, Larry Bird was the bomb, but he never played in college. And so not many people know his name. And not many people were inspired by his legacy and his story. And Larry's like, huh. Bill leaves the scene. Larry gets a lot of time to think about it, decides to take the leap, and becomes NBA legend. It takes time, obviously, but he becomes an NBA legend. He's already put in so much work, and he decides to trust his coach and take that next step. And so I want you to think of yourself as Larry Bird. Like, you have these skills, you have these abilities. Maybe you need to, kind of dust off the socks or dust off the grease, or what am I trying to say? You're trying to maybe dust off the rust a little bit and just say, you know what? I'm just going to go for this. I'm going to try it, because there's going to be a metaphorical Bill Hodges that comes into your life, likely, who's like, you could take this step. You could help a lot of people by sharing your story of overcoming anxiety, or, tying your shoes better. Anything like that. You can help a lot of people, because we live in a world where there are a lot of problems and there are solutions, but a lot of people don't know what those solutions are, and they need help with taking action and being able to help other people. And so you might feel very comfortable in your life right now. And I'm not saying everybody has to do this, but what I am saying is, if you feel really comfortable in your life and you're still thinking like, you know what? I feel like I could help more people. Maybe I could start a blog. Maybe I could do this. And it could become a side income. And for Larry Bird, he made moolah, tons of it, while playing in the NBA. Of course, he was doing it because he enjoyed it, and you need to do it because you enjoy it. But I want you to think about that possibility, where you're sitting in this story, and take action, right? That's what this podcast is. I really want to help people with taking that action and getting started. Because if I hadn't started this podcast, we wouldn't be almost 2 years in, nearly 100 episodes, 20 plus interviews, have had a great time with it. And so sometimes you just got to take the leap. The second story has to do with the Acres of Diamonds story. This is a really good book. Haven't read it, but I know the general premise is that this guy is digging at this field, and I've talked about this on the podcast before. He's like digging on his field, and he's like, "No, there's nothing in my field. There's nothing good in this field. Nothing good in this life. Nothing good here." Meanwhile, he hears about other people who are making tons of done dollars, and they have tons of diamonds. They have tons of diamonds in their own field. He's like, "Man, I wish I just had one of those fields." So he buys a field from somebody else he knows that from somebody that he knows they have a lot of diamonds in their field, and so he goes to it. Meanwhile, somebody buys his field, digs a tiny bit deeper than he already was, and finds out there was tons of diamonds, more than at the other place, and he just completely missed out on them. And the moral of this story, and the thing I would share with this story is that if you're on the fence, like, you know what, I just don't have a good network, I am starting from scratch. The thing is, if you dig deep, dig deep, and that's another thing I love talking about is digging deep. If you dig deep and start digging and start learning and growing, you're going to get somewhere, and you're going to get other people who are going to help you dig deeper to help you get to those really strong, amazing gems that can help you and inspire you and provide a lot of direction for your life. But if you kind of settle for digging in someone else's field or digging up someone else's dream, like, that's great and all, but I personally am one that I want to dig up my own field. I want to dig deep in my own field, and I want to learn as much as I can from my own life and be able to learn from other people. And I don't want to miss out on those opportunities, especially if they're right under my feet. I want to take advantage of those and own those so I can help out myself and also help out other people. So that's the Acres of Diamonds story. The final story has to do with a lion and a kitten. So before the lion was a big, ferocious lion, he was a lion cub. And the lion cub, well, I guess there's not really kin in this story, so sorry about that. Oof. Anyway, the lion cub is raised... The lion cub is raised without much courage. He's told that he's pretty much held back, and so he's not able to give of himself. Maybe he has like a muzzle over his mouth, and so he can't roar, and so he doesn't roar, and so he doesn't go after that opportunity of roaring, and so he is a lion that doesn't roar. And so when he is older, he also doesn't roar and isn't as like going after opportunities, isn't as hungry for those things. And so he's still a lion, right? But he's a lion that doesn't roar. And so my real takeaway with this, you dear listener, if you choose to, well, basically whatever you choose to do right now, mentality wise and everything like that, it's going to show up later on. When I was younger, I started a YouTube channel with some friends, and that required a lot of dedication and everything. And that dedication is a pattern that I've tried to apply every single point of my life since then. And it's been a real blessing. And so I've taught myself to open my mouth, go after things, try not to miss opportunities, try to love and help everybody I can along the way. And that is a practice. That's something I started when I was younger, when I was shorter, when my voice wasn't as confident, but it's something that I decided to do and I've grown up into it. And you get a choice, whether you're 50 or you're 30 or you're 10, to decide, you know what, this is something I'm going to stick with. This is something I'm going to focus on. Maybe it's getting good sleep or whatever. You're going to be really blessed by taking that leap. And there's so many YouTubers that I can think of, like Yo Schiller's one, Thomas Frank is another one, where they just started uploading stuff to YouTube, and now they're really well off. Well, now they're doing really well on YouTube. But they started with whatever they had, and they were willing to just get started. And now that they've gotten that ball rolling, they're in a much better spot. But they started when they were young, and I think that's really important, is to start like when you're thinking about that thing and not hold back that voice immediately. Just say, no, I couldn't do that. But just try it out and go for it and just kind of be able to manifest that in some way. Just do something to help push that ball along so that like with the momentum thing, you're pushing that snowball down the hill and it makes a ton of progress, and now you have something going that you can rely on and do. And it provides a lot of safety and clarity and just overall strength for yourself, because you know this is how I acted when I was younger, and this is something I did when I was younger, and I'm going to stick with it as far as like the mindset goes of helping out other people. And you just know and you trust that it's going to lead to something good. And so at the end of the day, you are able to roar with the best of them instead of being kind of stuck in your shell, even though you're a grown adult and you have no reason to. But you're deciding to subscribe to your previous fears, previous struggles, your inability to act from years ago. And it's a lot easier to get out of that now than later. And I'm just speaking from my own perspectives and looking at other people I've met in their lives. There's some people that are stuck in that fixed mindset, and they are a lot older than me. And you tell them about something, it's like, that's a complete waste of time. It's like, you don't know that, you're just saying that, but you believe it. And it's so important what you believe. And I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to believe in opportunities. I want you to believe that you can make the world a better place and help out a ton of people just by being yourself and putting out something that you enjoy, and just being willing to be vulnerable and try and go for it. So with that all said, I hope you enjoyed this quick little episode of three stories that, resonate with me. Larry Bird and the garbage man being a garbage man. Larry Bird being a garbage man, Bakers of Diamonds, and finally the lion who couldn't roar. And, some of these stories, obviously, I didn't tell them like perfectly, but I told them pretty well, I feel, to get the point across. So thank you so much. I hope that this episode was helpful and inspirational to you in some way. Definitely follow the podcast for more podcast episodes coming up very soon, every Monday and Thursday currently. And thank you so much for sharing your voice, living your life, and being who you are. And just know that it's only going to get better from here. Thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to yield today, and it will be a better tomorrow. As you're willing to love yourself and just try and go for these things, it is going to lead to so many wonderful opportunities. And I am so happy to help you out along the way any way that I can.